Test 1 2 1 2 3 4. All right, what is up, guys? Make sure I got my chats up. That's my Twitch chat. Whatever, I will look. YouTube live control panel. That should be it, right? I gotta sign in. That's dumb. Hold up. All right, whatever. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? We're going to go over our previews for this week. No Tony El Tigre. He's actually in New York, in the New York state of mind, throughout Halloween weekend. If you can believe it, he actually dressed up. As, he took off his fur and he went down. Cool costume. I'm not going to give it away, though. But let's get into it. Before we get into the picks for this week, last week we came out and yet again had a good time, man. We both went 9-5, shockingly. I'm impressed we're kind of where we are. We've gotten better as the season's gone on. Not that we're good yet. We're not good, but we're only losing you not as much money. Tony El Tigre comes into this week 58-73. Yes, that is despite us having a great record. So it's been a struggle season. But we're figuring you out. We're figuring you out, odds makers. I am now 61-69. And I'm just going to give everyone one more second. I want to send it out to people. Make sure they join. So we're going to try to get like an official time for these to make it, easier, more communal. But this time we're doing it Sunday morning. Kind of like the slot, but we shall see. Let me send it out to other people as well. And, feeling good. I just told Tony El Tigre our record, and he said we cooked stunningly. We've normally been so bad at these throughout the year, so I'm happy that we were good. Now, for this one, we're going to run through them a little bit quicker because, it's an hour before the game, and I want to make sure that we at least get the predictions in before anything happens. Tony El Tigre sent me his, so we are still going versus, and let's get into it. We're going to start off. Let's start off with the Falcons. The Falcons coming off of a horrendous loss to the Miami Dolphins, where we thought they might be up, down, but then you lose to a Dolphins team that just got smoked on Thursday Night Football. Not a great look, and everything they were good at fell apart. Kirk Cousins started. Yes, he will start again. Yes, it was a disaster. He was just awful. I think, he wasn't the one with the turnovers. It was Andy Dalton, but he just couldn't hit any passes. Their offense couldn't function, and every pass looked like it was a pillow out there. Taking on the New England Patriots. The Patriots have been on a bit of a hot streak. I think they've won 4 straight games heading into this one, smoking people. They beat the Bills in that stretch. Not playing great teams recently. I almost forgot they just played, but they beat up on the Browns, putting up 31 on them. Drake May has just been fantastic. I think 7 straight games, 200 yards, 100 rating. And you guys know yards aren't my thing, but rating is. I do like quarterback rating. He also has been running very effectively. I think last game he had like 50 rushing yards. Other than the small part of that game against, I forget who they were playing, the Titans, where he left for the game, Drake May has been, honestly, perfect the last month and a half, and he's moving up the MVP charts. Obviously, it's a lot about the odds makers because that's where the journalists will go and tell who they have. Right now, it's Mahomes. Josh Allen's still up there for some reason, well, because they play, I guess, today. But in my opinion, Drake May's playing as good as anyone in the quarterback position. And in this game, me and Tony El Tigre are both going to go with the Patriots. We can't pick Kirk Cousins out there against a good team in New England. Outside, I'm even thinking about it now, I was really, really close to making this my lock. The only reason I did not is because I didn't really, the Falcons passing defense is good, so I guess this will be how they win. But the Falcons passing defense is still really good, still ranked top in the league, and the Patriots aren't great at running the ball. We know that the Falcons' weakness so far this season has been running offense. The Dolphins ran all over them. There have been the 49ers ran all over them, 2 teams that haven't been really good at running the football all season. So, and the Patriots have had some success against the Titans. I just think that the path for the Falcons to win this game, they refuse to follow the blueprint. So until I see them follow the blueprint of give Bijan the ball, hand him the ball off, and let's see him go out there and make some plays, I can't trust this team to beat anyone, especially, like we said, if Penis isn't playing and you got Kirko Bangs out there. He not looking good. I'm trying to think of a rhyme for Kirko Bangs. Nothing came to my mind. I'm slow on the draw right now. But yeah, man, I think that right now the Patriots are just a much better team. They're much better coached. We know what we're getting consistently out of them. And I almost feel like even if they do have an interception or two, if the defense catches them off guard, they're better than the Bills. And at home, Kirk Cousins, now, albeit I've been outside in Philadelphia, pretty good weather here today, but I don't know how New England is. New England's always a little bit extra. And a couple days ago, it's been some wind. If there's any wind at all, anything like that, Kirk Cousins, who's already bad in the dome last week, will look even worse. So I got the Pats big, very close to making this my lock of the week. Didn't quite want to pull the trigger on it, but trust me, I thought about it. I think the Patriots, I'm going to be honest, the last couple of weeks, I've taken the Patriots 2 weeks in a row to be the lock, and they've gotten me. So when I say a lock, by the way, for those who don't know, a lock essentially means that you get 2 wins as opposed to 1, but 2 losses if they lose. So it's a double, I guess, double win, double loss on that. And Patriots have been 2 weeks in a row now. They've beaten up these bad teams. I'm going with a risky lock, honestly, but I just think the Falcons could possibly run Bijan, show some life. I don't think they will. I do not believe that they will. I think the Patriots will smoke them, but I think it's possible that maybe they have some things. Maybe they're able to cover up these wide receivers who we don't think are great players against the for the Patriots. So that's the only hope, Atlanta. Run the ball. He's got Kirk Cousins out there. And I think the Patriots' pass defense is pretty good. So run the ball, control the game. Hope your pass defense gets some stops, and hope that the Patriots' run offense isn't effective. All of those things can possibly happen. But me and Tony L. Tigre aren't doing it. We're picking the Patriots to win this game. This next one, man, this is gonna be some interesting stuff. So coming up, we got the Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers win out Thursday night, proved me and Tony wrong, and I knew I should have went with my gut. It was them -3, and I was gonna take the Chargers, and then they hurt me last week against the Colts. I keep internally maybe disrespecting the Colts. Colts is that good. The Chargers went out there and put it on the Minnesota Vikings, 37-10. Not only did they have a great game, Gadsden, another breakout game. He's probably superstar now. It's a Madden joke for those who don't know. He's probably superstar. He's got tons of abilities. He's been snapping. Lad went off. Everything went. Vidal breakout game soon. He had 120 yards toward the end of the game. They were doing whatever they wanted to a Brian Flores defense that just 3 weeks ago was ranked number 2 in passing. I know I've brought that up a lot. I'm sorry. But last week, they went all the way down to 8, and I'm sure they've continued to plummet. Haven't looked at the stats yet, but I'm sure they continue to plummet because of what Justin Herbert did to them. And the biggest thing for the Chargers, Joe Alt was back. Justin Herbert was protected, and that offense looked completely different. And they did smoke the Vikings 37-10 on Thursday night. They will be taking on the Titans, who they just lose by 20 every week. The Tennessee Titans, like, even though I thought they looked a little bit better, it's the Colts, albeit, right? But they just lost by 20. They give you shot plays. Like, Cam Ward will give you, he threw a bomb, and you're like, whoa, Cam, that looked really good. But the consistency, they can't run the ball at all. They really don't have great receivers, which is the reason, I'm terrified about this, and I don't want to do it, but I am starting DK. So we shall see what happens there with the Titans offense. But I just don't think that they're consistent enough to really go out there and put up points on a Chargers defense that we saw last week look a lot. But now the Vikings, they were kind of descending, but they looked much, much better. They looked like the Chargers defense we saw from the first couple of games of the season. I think they'll be able to give Cam Ward similar issues. And the lock, it's in, baby. I'm looking for something that I can't find, but we're gonna lock it in. Man, I really wish I could find it, but I can't find it, so whatever. We're gonna keep it moving. We're locking it in. We're gonna go Chargers They are -8.5, and I love it. The Titans just lose to everyone by 20. Even the Texans, when they weren't good, they kind of fixed the Texans season by making us think, oh, we're not this bad. And Cam Ward was like, we are ass because we can't even compete with the Texans. That is where we are back with Titans. I think their offense is a little bit better, but with their pass rush not being good and no Jeffrey Simmons. If Jeffrey Simmons were in, I'm going to be honest, I would not lock the Chargers because he's a game wrecker. But all they got now is Draymond Jones, who's a solid pass rusher, but I don't see him really destroying this offensive line with Joe Alt back. Vidal being able to run. The Titans aren't good at anything. And the Chargers are, very good at quarterback. Their skill position players are really, really good. Look at Vidal, Gadsden, and what they've added recently. And their defense can step up and make plays. So I'm going with If Man, as Tony L. Tigre told us in our text. He laughed. He said, I picked If Man, but I did pick If Man with a fully healthy offensive line and against no pass rush. And Herbert's been he's having a little too many interceptions for my liking, but he has put up big numbers on teams, lots of yards, lots of touchdowns. The Titans are ripe for the picking, and I think the Chargers will yet again roll and smoke them. Path for the Titans to win, I don't know. Cam Ward and that offense put together a complete game, and they score 25, 30 points. I think for them to cover the spread, it's either going to take 2 or 3 Herbert picks, which he had last game, he almost had last game because Isaiah Rodgers dropped one. So it's going to take like a couple interceptions, and the Titans offense would have to score like 24 because I think the Chargers are just going to score 30 on that defense. Lock it in. That was easy. I wish I had my easy button, but I'm a mess right now. So we're taking the Chargers for our lock of the week. Let's make it happen. Man, and this next one, golly, good Lord. All right, next up we get the Bears. Caleb Williams, suddenly, it's just all falling apart, maybe. I don't know what's going on, Caleb. But they went out there, couldn't move the ball against a bad defense in the Ravens. Well, we thought was a bad defense. They've been kind of improving. They held the Dolphins to 6, so I guess, but it's just kind of not just that it happened, but how it happened. Tyler Huntley looked better than him out there. And Caleb just consistently, he is consistently on a game-to-game basis, inconsistent in a couple of things. Getting out of the huddle, getting his troops lined up, not having legal formations, just catching snaps, not all his fault. Sometimes it goes over his head, but just that part of it. Running the play, making a check down, and being accurate. He consistently does those things inconsistently every week. And he will be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who, even though we've seen Joe Flacco, he's been on fire. He's looked great. I don't even know if Joe Flacco's in. I think it might be Jake Browning. But that offense had looked explosive. And even so, they gave the Jets their first one of the year, losing their last game 39-38. That defense completely fell apart. So really, my goodness, it truly is a question, of a couple of things. I don't think Joe Flacco's playing, and I got to look this up, guys, because Tony took the Bengals. Joe Flacco is planning to start, so that's what I wanted to see. I was interested in that. I took the Bears. Tony took the Bengals. I don't feel great. It's Bears -2.5. I do not feel great about that. However, I'm going to stick with the Bears. I'm just going to trust what I put down and not change it up because every time I change it on one of these, I end up being wrong. That's what happened with the Chargers last week. I think the Bears are going to run the ball on them. I think they're going to be able to control the ball running. The Bengals have been able to start running the ball, but they have to score. And I do think the Bears are capable of getting stops. And that's the question, right? Can the Bears offense stop themselves? Can Caleb run a consistent, clean offense, right? And this is what I think is underrated about some of the best players in the league. Hurts, my guy. Mahomes, Josh Allen when he's good. Josh Allen's been a little up and down this year, but before Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson, you saw it against the Dolphins when they got it going. But they have that ability to explode, yes, but also just throughout a game, be consistent, stay on time and on target. And to the point where if they have a game where they don't do it, we all wonder what's wrong with Mahomes or what's wrong with Hurts. Why did they only score 20-something points? Whereas the Bears, we've seen them, again, 16 against the Ravens, not look good. Can he be consistent, hit the easy stuff against the Bengals? It's there. If he's able to hit that stuff, there's run-up-to-catch opportunities. But the Bengals, we know what they're going to do. They're going to throw Jamar Chase the ball like 12 to 15 times. They're going to throw some bombs to Higgins. Can their running game be effective on the Bears? The Bears defense, that I think they were actually pretty good against the solo runs of Derrick Henry. They held him to 21 rushes, 71 yards last week. They just weren't good against the Huntley run actions and the quick passes. The Bengals going to throw it a lot more, but they won't have that running option. And Joe Flacco's a little banged up. I just think the Bears are a better team. Caleb does scare me, but I'm going to take the Bears -2.5. Tony El Tigre goes with the Bengal. He's finally going with his namesake. I guess it's a Tiger, but Bengal, whatever. And he will take the Bengals +2.5, meaning if the Bengals lose by 2 points less or win, then he will win, and I will take the Bears. So an interesting game, a split, a tough game because both these teams are kind of all over the place. You think the Bengals look good, but they just lost to the Jets, letting up 39 points to Justin Fields, the first ever time Justin Fields has won a game in which he scored over 20. That happened against the Bengals just last week. I don't know how it's going to get better, but they are at home, so we shall see what happens. Bears, Bengals. Oh, man, this next one. The Indianapolis Colts. The Colts came out last week, beat the Titans, beat them down. Again, another easy win for them. Laissez-faire. Now Cam Ward's still up and down, but I mean they just went out there. They play like a machine, and with no Eagles on this weekend, I'm actually excited. There are some very interesting games. I like Patriots Falcons at 1, but I'm going to watch this game, and I like to watch only one game because we'll write down our notes. So we're going to be staring at Colts Steelers. I haven't watched a start to finish Colts game, not condensed, so I'm interested kind of in what the announcers say, some of the things that, you know what I mean, Steichen says to the announcers, them asking questions, Jonathan Taylor, and kind of, look some of the things, how quick they get in the huddle, how quick they get out. And they were playing a team that I've seen multiple times. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last week, the Steelers went out to the Packers. Their defense yet again ripped to shreds, allowing Jordan Love to hit 20 straight passes at one point, and went out there, cooked them, tied a Packers record, at least recently. And those completions, the big thing, I think the stat from the game was more than Aaron Rodgers ever had completed with the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers won like 4 MVPs. I think Jordan Love is a really, really good, could be great player. I think that's more evidence of how bad the Steelers' defense is because Joe Flacco lit them up. They've been lit up a couple times. Justin Fields had 32 on them. Everyone forgets that, but that did happen. They looked a little bit better when they got a bunch of turnovers against the Patriots. But overall, and some plays from Carson Wentz, but overall, defensively, they have looked not very good this season, and not very good is an understatement. Their cornerbacks can't guard. I think the Colts are going to rip them to shreds. I think the Steelers will try to stop the run. I'm interested in if they're going to be able to. That has been one of the bigger issues, is that they haven't been able to stop anyone from running the football as well as throwing it. I think last week they were a little bit better against Josh Jacobs, but defensively just not very good. Now, the Colts defense looks up and down at times, but I just think they're going to get a few more stops. I don't think they played the Rams, and the Rams beat them. That was their one loss, but they let up, it was 27-20. Like, the Colts defense, I've yet to see get lit up this season. The Steelers, it is becoming a trend. It is Colt -2.5 now. It is outdoors. It is in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is at home. So, to me, that they think that this is a pick 'em. I think that's very interesting. I just think the Colts are a lot better than them from what I've seen on film. From how they look, how they play, how Steichen's been calling plays, and that Steelers defense just they don't have the horses. The corners are old and slow. The D-line doesn't get as much pressure. If one of those things changes, maybe, but the Colts also have one of the best offensive lines so far in the NFL. That's why they have the #1 rusher, and they only let up, I believe, 1 sack a game, which is top 3 in the league. I like the Colts' interior, their offensive line. I think the Steelers will fight. I think they'll kind of try to keep it close, but I think that we saw what the Colts did to the Chargers when they don't stop. They really don't, unless you can consistently gets. I mean, that Rams game, a lot was going on, but they've played the Broncos and they beat them. Yes, they got a little lucky on a missed field goal going the other way, but they were able to score, be effective on one of the best defenses in the league. The Rams, their pass rush, they only scored 20 in that game, but it was off of a fumble in the end zone and a hold from Adonai Mitchell when Jonathan Taylor was taken off for a touchdown. So I like the Colts. I almost made them my lock. My only hesitation is that they haven't lost in so long. So it could be, at some point you're going to lose games, and Pittsburgh's not a completely trash team. So for the Steelers, they got to put up some points. They're going to have to stop the run, put Daniel Jones in long situations, and just make a couple plays. Whether that's a turnover, whether that's a sack from TJ Watt, who's been quiet this year, that is their path to win. But I just think the Colts are too good. They've been so efficient, so locked in. I don't really see that changing from top to bottom, from the new owner who's on the field writing down every play. She's locked in, and the Colts have just been locked in as well. So me and Tony both going Colts -2.5. Oh, man, this is fun. This is rapid-fire stuff, man. This is some rapid-fire stuff. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more to go. It's going to take a second. Date. Here we go. The San Francisco 49ers, they recently have just been kind of a mess. They beat the Falcons 2 weeks ago, 20-10. But last week it's the Texans. They went on the road, just couldn't really move the ball. I think one thing, though, with the 49ers is as they lost that game 26-15, Mac Jones started to struggle. And that game specifically, they couldn't run the ball. Also, defensively, there were some weaknesses. They couldn't really get off the field. C.J. Stroud had 320 yards for him. I think it's clear injuries. Injuries are the biggest thing that's at play right now for this team, for the 49ers team. However, the last 2 weeks, they did play the number 1 pass defense in the league and and the number 1 defense in the league in the Texans. Who they're playing this week doesn't quite bring that punch, and that is the New York Giants, coming off of a tough loss against the Eagles, in which not only did they lose the game in blowout fashion, and they had some questionable calls obviously go against them, but Cam Scatterboo, he is injured and out for the season, so they have Tracy now at running back. It's basically just Dart by himself, and he's injury prone, with kind of a banged up skill position group and a team that's teetering and a coach they got to be teetering. He's clearly on the hot seat, and it looks like it depends on how they feel, but he could easily be on his way out. I'm taking the 49ers in this game at -2.5. I just think that the Giants defense is really bad. I think that they're going to be able to find those holes. I don't think Mac Jones has been as bad as I think they just played some tough defenses these last couple weeks, and that's why you've seen Mac Jones struggle. They still are a top 3 passing yard unit in the league. They were number 1 heading into these last couple weeks. They're actually number 1 last week. They could still be number 1 in passing yards. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll just say top 3 because I know they're that. And I just think passing-wise, they're going to be able to rip up the Giants. I think they're going to be able to run on the Giants as well. The Giants' defense looked really bad last week against the Eagles. We saw them let up 33.25 against the Broncos. They did not recover at all against Philadelphia, and I think they're still going to be, now, a bad unit. Now, for the Giants, their path at home, they could be a little bit different. Maybe you see that pass rush kind of wake up, but I think that they might just be done with Daboll at this point. Specifically with what they've been putting out on film and that Broncos loss being as devastating as it was. And then your one good win, the Eagles came back and smoked you for that. But Tony L. Tigre is going to take the Giants and Jackson Dart to beat the 49ers team. Now, what I will say is the 49ers defense clearly not the same without Fred Warner. We saw there be a lot more open stuff underneath. And the Texans kind of had complete control of that game, were able to control the ball, control the clock. A little bit tougher to do without Scatterboo, but maybe Tracy can do that. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't ask him about this. I don't know if Tony L. Tigre knows that Scatterboo is out, but, I assume he does because we talked about it in a group chat, but I'm not going to ask him now. But that, to me, is honestly different. Scatterboo is in. I might take him against the 49ers. I think they could control the game. But maybe not. The Giants' defense is just bad, and what they look like against Philadelphia the Eagles have had a tough schedule. But that was easily that was the easiest game the Eagles had all season because the Giants look like one of those teams that's like getting close to quitting, for sure. So we shall see a split game. I got the Niners. Tony El Tigre has the Giants. So we shall see. Oh man, here we go. This is an interesting one. Next up, we got the Denver Broncos. The Broncos go out there and last week they put it on the Dallas Cowboys, scoring 44 points, smoking them boys, making me very happy as an Eagles fan. That at least they gave them that equal treatment that they gave us. And for the Denver Broncos, I mean, they're 6-2 right now, looking very, very good. That's finally what you wanted to see if you were a Broncos fan. Just a consistent game last game, the most complete game from that team all season. And they were able to hold down a Cowboys offense, make a couple turnovers, really have Dak flummoxed, and we saw what their pass rush can really do to you. Going up against the Houston Texans, the Texans last week without Nico Collins looked much improved with just how quickly C.J. Stroud got the ball out, just throwing quick passes, underneath passes, going out there and making plays. It was a really, really impressive game from C.J. Stroud, and the Texans, as they kind of tried to keep their season alive right now, right? Like they're still kind of outside, and the tough thing for them, of course, is that the Colts are so good, but they have this game at home. You're playing a tough Broncos team. Their schedule is tough going forward, but they just got to take it one game at a time. However, I'm taking the Broncos. I think this game is going to be very, very, I mean, not a hot take here if you guys have been paying attention, but it's going to be a very, very low-scoring game. These are two of the best defenses in the NFL with two offenses that we've seen be inconsistent. However, for all their inconsistencies, I have seen the Broncos' ability a little more consistently to put up points on the board. The Texans did do it last week, which was impressive, but against Seattle, they just look so bad. And the Broncos, even when they have those moments, they still are good enough to win the game. It's Broncos minus 1.5. That's basically, I mean, with the Texans at home, that's really, they think the Broncos are a lot better, but that home field might swing it to the Texans. Possible. The thing is about the Broncos as well, they can run the ball, and their offensive line allows the least amount of sacks in the league. So that offensive line to me has been really an underrated part of why they've been so good, because they do throw a lot of bombs, a lot of deep down the field passing routes, and even so, it still has just felt like Bo Nix and that offense have been able to function. No teams have really been able to get to the quarterback. That's why I'm interested. It is going to be interesting to see that Texans defense and how they perform against it. But I just think their offense just has more weapons. I just think they're better. They've been more consistent. And me and Tony El Tigre both taking the Denver Broncos minus 1.5. Now, the way for the Texans to win is, even if they don't get pressure, obviously get some stops, and just have C.J. Stroud's got to get rid of that ball quick, because, again, the Broncos, they have the best pass rush in the league. They get 5 sacks per game. The Texans, we know their weakness is blocking and the offensive line. So last week they did a really good job running the ball, staying consistent. They just got to get some stops early, allow their run game to get involved, get their run game a little more involved than the Broncos. We'll try to. I really think whoever runs the ball better will win this game, because it's going to set up more things for the pass. But I just think that's going to be the Denver Broncos in this one. Whew. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Carson Wentz is hurt. I just remembered that, actually. He's actually out for this game. Played very, very badly last game against the Chargers. His shoulder, but obviously he's playing with a busted shoulder, out for the season, getting surgery. So that means, I believe J.J. McCarthy's playing. Let me look this up for you guys, man. J.J. McCarthy will return. Yikes. And the team he's going up against is the Detroit Lions. The Lions have just been pretty good all season, coming off of a bye week. But heading into that bye, beat down the Buccaneers. They had a bad game, I guess, against the Chiefs, but they beat the Ravens as well. They lost to the Packers week 1. But overall, the Lions have looked really good, really dominant. Me, Antonio Tigre, both taking the Lions minus 8.5. I just got to see J.J. McCarthy do something before I pick him. I mean, he beat the Bears, but he lost very badly against the Falcons and then got hurt. And with no Carson Wentz, we could easily, I mean, we don't know if J.J. can play a game. Like a couple of games in the NFL. He was hurt in week 2. He's just now getting back. It's week 9, guys. And he didn't play all of last season because he was out for the year. So with the Lions defense, with Hutchinson, they have been able to get some pressure. We saw them beat up Baker Mayfield, and the Vikings offensive line being in rough shape. I just don't really see how the Vikings, maybe defensively, they're able to draw up some stuff against Goff. But I don't know. I just think their run defense is too bad. I think Gibbs and Montgomery are going to eat. I think it's the Lions as well at home. That crowd's going to be into it off of a bye week. They've been missing football, so they're going to be locked in. Divisional game, and I think they'll absolutely smoke the Vikings. To be honest, I think I'm trying to think of ways for the Vikings to win. You're going to need a turnover. You're going to need the blitzes of Brian Flores to really get home, because the last couple of weeks, Flores has been blitzing, and it hasn't worked against Herbert and Hurts. Now, he almost got an interception against Hurts, but both of those guys let him up. Goff, I don't think, is on their level athletically or as a quarterback, to be honest, in that he will have some more interceptions, more along the lines of Herbert throughout this season. He will throw you some picks, so if you get an early opportunity for an interception, you take advantage of that, and then maybe you can kind of get him a little rattled out of their running game. But if the Lions can run the ball and control it, their defense has just been so good. McCarthy going to have to be good, find Jettas early, but we haven't seen McCarthy play a good football game in the NFL. So, and he's also often injured. So, that was a tough one. I thought about that one too. The only reason I didn't pick that as a lock, I think me and Tony El Tigre, is because, I just think that we both believe that the Lions, that the Vikings at least are well coached enough to not maybe get blown out by 8.5. But we both picked the Lions to win, and we both think it's going to happen. I got the Lions winning by like 20, 24, something ridiculous, but not ridiculous. Now, they could just completely go crazy. We know that they could run it up on you if you get an opportunity, and they will not feel bad. So both got the Lions in that game. Vikings, this is a tough situation right now with JJ, who we don't know if he can play. And even though they're well coached, eventually some unit on your team has to prove that they're good. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers. They played their last game with Andy Dalton at quarterback, and it was a complete disaster. Taking on the Bills, they lost that game 40-9. Didn't get to the running game. For some reason, they keep starting Chuba Herbert. Why do they keep starting Chuba, man? Go to Dowdle. He needs the ball early and often, and he's like the best player on the offense right now. But talking to my Carolina Panthers fans, they said that the offensive line got a little banged up last game too. So if that's a little bad, specific against the team they're going against, this could be trouble. But at the very least, you're not playing Andy Dalton. Bryce Young is coming back into this game, and he will be taking on Jordan Love, Micah Parsons, and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers coming off of a dominant performance against the Steelers, where they beat them 35-25. And then the second half, Jordan Love went off, started just piecing the Steelers apart. 360 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, hitting 20 straight passes. Unbelievable game for Jordan Love. Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary getting to the quarterback. Parsons got 1 sack, but a lot of pressures, and Gary ended up with 2 sacks on Rodgers. So that defensive line cooking. But, however, because of the spread, which is Packers minus 11.5, I've taken the Packers a couple times in this situation. Earlier, I think against the Browns, they ended up losing that game. The Packers are a team where that spread just scares me. I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think that the Panthers, I just think, that they're a good team. And if they get the game that they kind of want, where they can start running the ball, controlling it, the Packers could be in a tough situation. Now, albeit James Cook was fired last week, but the Packers running game has also not been great. Jacobs has been great in the red zone, but throughout the field, not an explosive runner like he has been in the past. It has been more in that passing game. Now, again, Christian Watson's still back, so maybe that gives them the offensive explosion they've been missing, and it did look like against the Steelers, but the Steelers' passing defense is also really, really bad. The Panthers' defense has been solid throughout the season. Obviously, last game, notwithstanding. Even if you do withstand that game, though, if that game is withstanding, whatever. The Panthers' defense has been better than the Steelers' defense. It is Packers at home, in Green Bay, but Carolina plays outside. They'll be fine. Me and Tony L. Tigre, again, both taking the Panthers. I don't know if we think they're going to win, but minus 12 is a lot. So, I mean, the way the Packers do it, they get up early. They get pressure on Bryce Young. That offensive line for the Panthers does look rough. Micah Parsons just starts eating and making Bryce Young's entire life miserable. And offensively, they continue what they did last week, which is just lighting up the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're able to do that and go out there and get pressure on Bryce Young. The Packers can route them. I'm just going to take the Panthers in this one. 11.5 is a lot of points, and I do think the Panthers have a path to actually winning this game. The Packers have been great this season, 5-1-1, but I just think this is an interesting game. I think the Panthers can make it a little more closer than people think. Well, obviously, specifically what Vegas thinks. I'll be back in 1 second. Gotta start my dryer. We are back. We're so back, man. Here we are. Woohoo! All right, guys. Finishing up strong with the previews. Just a quick shout out, man. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys have watched this one, we love the comments that we've been getting. The love on the channel. It's been very good. I'm excited. And let's keep it going. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville off of a bye week, but the last time we saw them play, Stafford and the Rams ended up completely cooking that team, lighting them up, beating them in London, ya blokes, by a lot. I forget the score, but it was like a lot to a little, man. I don't even remember, but they beat them badly. I think it was 35-7, if I remember correctly, smoking them. Going up against the team in the Raiders, the last time we saw them, they had this many points, baby. Goose, eggy on. 0 points against the Chiefs. Yikes. So both these teams not looking great recently. Lawrence, bad. Geno Smith, still tied for the league in interceptions. Shout out, Geno. But with the Jags, minus 3.5, I'm going to take the Jags. I think that at points, they've done some things better than the Raiders. They could. If they lose this game to the Raiders, man, I mean, obviously, I think their season's done. I think you're cooked. All that beating the Chiefs is cool, but you can't lose to this Raiders team right now off of a bye week. That would just be, it's time to go. Even though the Raiders are at home, 3.5, I almost feel like they might win this dumb game by 3, but I'm not going to pick the Raiders to do anything because the Raiders haven't done anything all season. And Geno Smith likes throwing interceptions, and the Jags are really good at catching interceptions. Now, pass defense-wise, they have looked a little rough, specifically recently, but that's why they need those turnovers, and they forced 12 in those first games early in the season. I think it's a game that bounces back. Geno gives you a good 2 or 3, looks ridiculously bad, and that's just is what it is. The path for the Raiders, though, to win this game, it's Genty. It's all Genty all the time. Geno just has to do nothing, and Genty just needs the ball for like 100, 150, as well as Trevor Lawrence actually is bad. They still, for some reason, don't go to the run game. Max Crosby makes a play, forces a turnover. They get an interception. So that's how I think the Raiders could somehow upset them and win this game. However, me and Tony L. Tigre both taking the Jacksonville Jags. They're just a better team than the Raiders at this point. And I don't see Geno really putting it together. At least Trevor Lawrence, I guess, can be not completely terrible on a day-to-day basis. Geno has been ridiculously bad, so it is what it is. We're going up, up, up. We're going golden. Oh, man. Next up, the New Orleans Saints, who will be starting Tyler Schroe, I think. I remember, it's funny, made a Saints article saying that Spencer Rattler wasn't a gunslinger, because he ain't, but he kept trying to throw ridiculous passes, ended up losing his job. And someone in the comments asked me, who's Tyler Schroe? Because I brought it up in that one about 2 weeks ago. That was against the Bears. And I was like, yeah, dude, he's at this point, you might as well see. So here we go. We're throwing him in there against the Rams of all teams. The Rams who just beat the Jags 40-10. Their defensive line is top 3 in the league in sacks. They get 3.7 a game. They have Verse on one end, Young on the other. And Tyler Schroe, I don't think he's that good. But well, what else are we going to do? Let's just see. That's the Rams minus 13.5. Me and Tony got the Rams rolling the Saints, man. The Saints are just bad, and they're getting worse. It's just the talent deficit is just too much. Rams are also at home, so even that little advantage. But it could have been an advantage last week when they played the Buccaneers. But again, they lost to a Bucs team that has not been playing well, and they lost that game 23-3. Now the Bucs sent some pressures, sent some blitzes that caught Spencer Rattler off guard, and Rattler was just turning the ball over. But Schroe had a turnover as well. Didn't look much better. He was 17 of 30, and he's also not a speed threat. So you're not really going to get that. At least Spence was starting to give you that, even though he fumbled the ball the one time, and it looked really, really goofy. But yeah, I just think that the Rams are going to win this game. The path for the Saints to win, even cover, Schroe is just better than we think he is. He's very accurate with the ball. He gets it to Olave, throws deep passes. He doesn't make mistakes. He's able to do it because their running game isn't good. And maybe they get a turnover or two on Stafford, and they're able to kind of slow down the Rams' offense. I don't see any of that happening. They haven't shown that on film so far this year. But that's the path. That's the best opportunity for maybe the Saints to make this game closer than 13.5, closer than we think it can be. And, yeah, that's the best shot we got there. But we got me and Tony El Tigre do have the Rams going out there, establishing dominance, and rolling the Saints. Chiefs, Bills. The Chiefs come into this game rolling, winning, I believe, 2-3 straight. I know they lost to the Jags, but that might be their last loss. Yeah, they beat the Lions after that. So 3 straight games, beating the Lions in an impressive game. And then taking out some tomato cans and the Raiders and the Commanders. And remember, that was Commanders with Marcus Mariota. And they come into this game a little bit banged up. They're still missing their left tackle. I saw their injury report recently, actually. No Pacheco, too, for the Chiefs. So they are a little bit banged up. They will be taking on the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, James Cook coming off of a win where they just beat a Panthers team. Now, again, Panthers, no Bryce Young. Andy Dalton was out there looking ridiculous, bad, fumbling the ball, trying to run at 50 years old. I don't know what he was doing. But Josh Allen, James Cook specifically went out there and went crazy, and they end up winning that game 40-9. Josh Allen, he's 4-1, I believe, against Mahomes in the regular season. They've beaten them consistently. However, in the playoffs, obviously, we know how that is. Mahomes has beaten them. This is Chiefs minus 1.5. And me and Tony El Tigre are both going with the Chiefs. I just think that they've been better than the Bills so far this season. I am interested. I am supremely interested because I don't think there's going to be a blowout by any means. If Josh can get back to, he played very good last week and just not turning the ball over, giving him an opportunity. I'm interested in a couple of things though, right? The Bills are at home for starters, but they have the number 1 running offense in the league, and the Chiefs this year have been very good at stopping the run, but I am interested if the Bills running attack and James Cook is just that good to where they can kind of control the game against the Chiefs. We've seen teams kind of be able to do some stuff against them, running the football, not dominate the game completely, but we definitely see it. If you have that balance, you can be effective against them. I'm also interested as well in the Bills defense, Everyone has been saying that the Bills, it's actually now, honestly, it's flipped a little bit. I'm looking at the numbers, and this could be the case. But we thought that Bills defense would hold them back, be bad. However, the things that the Bills defense isn't good at, the Chiefs without Pacheco and with just Hunt, it's going to be a lot of Braylon Smith, whatever his name is, Braylon Smith. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to run the ball effectively on that Bills defense. The Bills defense, last I saw last week, came into the week 30th in rush defense, but they were second in passing defense. And that obviously didn't get worse playing against Andy Dalton. So I'm interested about that. Is that pass defense at all legit? I know that's a lot of scheme. I don't think they had the players on the outside. We saw Drake May kind of touch them up. But I'm just interested in if that defense has any juice in the pass defense game, because that could definitely, if they can run the ball effectively on the Chiefs, and if their pass defense can kind of slow down Mahomes with no Pacheco, it's going to be a lot of Kareem Hunt and Smith running the ball. Maybe this is the game like Smith kind of goes off as well. Look for that. I'm not saying that that's out of the ordinary either, because they have been kind of leading him to this moment. He's like a quicker runner. He's an outside guy. Just some things to watch for. It's going to be a lot of components in this game that I'm very, very interested in that honestly don't have to do with Allen and Mahomes, even though that's going to make this a phenomenal game as well. So me and Tony Tigre both taking the Chiefs. I do think there's a very good chance the Bills win this game, but I'm not picking against the Chiefs and Mahomes in a game that both these teams kind of need. The Seattle Seahawks are coming in off of a bye week. They had a very, very good performance last time we saw. Well, a sleepy performance. I almost forgot about it because I was falling asleep so much. But they played the Texans, beat them, kind of controlled the game. I think toward the end, Sam Darnold was doing some goofy stuff, turning the ball over. The team, they fumbled it as well. It was a game that started at 10 Pacific time and another on the West Coast, but still. Players are people of rhythm, so when it hit like midnight, you know what I mean, even 9 o'clock on the West Coast, players aren't used to playing at that time. And I think there was an effect to that because they were really dominating the Texans. Their defense looks very good, second in league in sacks. Darnold has looked great. JSN looks like the best receiver in the league. And Walker and Charbonnet are doing their thing, running the football. So I'm very impressed with this. They put up 27 on the best defense in the league and had a lot of turnovers. Had a Cooper Kupp interception where they tried to run a reverse, or it could have been worse. They are taking on Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Daniels coming back off of injury for Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota they moved the ball on the Chiefs, but they just weren't able to score because Mariota is not a dynamic playmaker. They need Daniels back. The problem with the Commanders is even though now Daniels is in, now Terry McLaurin is out, this team it seems rough for them. They can't stay healthy. And even last time we saw Jaden Daniels in there, the defense just fell apart, letting up 41 points to the Cowboys. Defensively, they have just not been very good this season. Offensively, they've been better, but not able to kind of get a consistent, really lineup in there, and all their weapons and McLaurin and Daniels. Me and Tony Tigre, even though Tony is a huge Jaden Daniels fan, I just think there's just too much going on right now at the Commanders, too up and down. We have the Seahawks winning this game. They just look more consistent. Darnold looks better. That defensive line could eat. I think Laramie Tunsil is out as well. No McLaurin, no Tunsil, and Daniels coming back. I'm a little scared for him, not going to lie, because he's been getting beat like a drum this season. But for the Commanders, they have to play him. They have to try to get into the playoffs. They're 3-5 now. They continue to lose games, and, kind of is what it is. So I think the path for them to win is honestly Jaden Daniels just be spectacular. And I'm going to be honest, and I love Jaden Daniels too. We haven't seen him look spectacular this season. We've seen him look good. We've seen him have a lot of games where he's looked inconsistent and bad. We've not seen the spectacular Jaden Daniels that we saw last year. They need that, and they need it right now against a tough defense that, again, has a furious pass rush that can get after you. I don't see it happening. That's the path, but I don't really see that happening. I think the Seahawks will win this game. They're just a better team. Darnold has been playing better so far this year than Daniels, and he's got all of his weapons, mainly the best receiver in the league in JSN. So we got the Seahawks winning that game on Sunday Night Football. And this game, I got to give him credit, man. He's making it interesting. But first, from the Cardinals' perspective, the Cardinals come into this game not playing Kyler Murray. Now they say there's a foot injury? Question mark? Where'd this foot injury come from? That's some interesting news. Brissett starting again. Hasn't won a game, but Brissett's looked way better than Kyler Murray so far this season. This might be that game where it's like, all right, last time you get the opportunity to try to win a game against a bad defense. He does have to actually win the game, but that offense has looked much, much better. And like I just mentioned, they're taking on the Dallas Cowboys, who last week everything kind of just fell apart a little bit. Defensively, letting up 44 points against the Denver Broncos. I don't think their offense was terrible, but it definitely wasn't the best in the league last week either. Dak with 2 interceptions. Javonte, solid running the ball, but not great. And we know that offense has got to be super powerful in the win. However, last week they were taking on a Denver Broncos team that is much better than this Cardinals team. That's defense is ranked top 3 in the league, I believe, in points. First in sacks with 5. And even though they didn't get sacks, they only got, I think, 2 on Dak. They're getting a lot of pressure. He was more pressured than he has been, I think, in many games this season. So I'm extremely interested. This is going to be a really, really interesting game. And it's a split. I am taking the Arizona Cardinals. I think that the Cowboys' defense is just completely falling apart. I just think that the Cardinals are going to be able to actually score with them, and this is going to be the game that Brissett finally wins. Tony L. Tigre taking the Cowboys. Can't really argue with it. This is really a pick 'em. It's Cowboys minus 2.5, but this is a tough one because the Cowboys have so many weapons. They can put points on the board, but their defense also is so bad that any game is kind of a coin toss with them. Now, however, the Broncos, last week I thought the Broncos defense would be the difference, and it was. They were able to slow down the Cowboys, and then their offense just suddenly became super efficient because the Cowboys are bad. The Cardinals defense not as good. However, I've seen them last 2 weeks. I mean, they played the Packers very well. I mean, the Cowboys tied the Packers, though. True. But they kind of held the Packers down a little bit. I like what I've been seeing from them more recently than the Cowboys defense completely falling apart. So I'm going to take the Cardinals. Tony El Tigre will take the Cowboys. And we are going to be very interested Monday Night Football and seeing how that game turns out. Thank you guys so much, man. No Tony El Tigre. We will be back next week no matter what. That's a promise. With our regularly scheduled, me and Tony doing the previews. And it'll be a little elongated. I'm doing this right now, 12 o'clock before the game, so I wanted to make sure it was recorded. It was up, so you guys have proof that I actually picked these games. Especially because now we're getting kind of good at this, 9-5. I'm feeling like 2 more positive weeks. I'm going to be back to 500 for that playoff stretch. Woo, I don't know, man. Woo, feeling good. But shout out to you guys. Hopefully you appreciated. Hopefully you guys liked the video. Give us a like, give us a sub, and later, Gators.